Hi, hello, and welcome to my newest video. That was, I like that intro. Anyway, that's not the point. Hi, how are y'all? I hope you're doing well, and if my audio sounds whack as heck, it's because I'm in the car, and I'm just recording the intro in the car, so, the other audio should sound fine. But tonight, whatever, I'm going to do a video on the new Monster High movie because it is spooky season. I want to get at least something out. And I just wanted to talk really quick about the art that at least should be in the background. Should be. Which is Frankie from the new movie, because I just want to go on a quick tangent before it starts and say that I really love them. They have to be, like, my favorite out of everybody. Like, I relate to them way too much. Like, the awkwardness of not understanding a lot of modern slang, which I'm usually really, really bad with. Not always understanding, like, the social cues of the people around you. Like, Frankie did not have any right to be as relatable as they are. At least to me. This is just a me thing. At least I think so, because I've asked other people, like, oh my god, don't you relate to this too? And they're like, no, hon, you good? And I'm like, yeah, I think. But I don't know, I out of all of the characters, Frankie was my favorite. And honestly, Claudine was meh, but, we're gonna get into that later. For now, we're just having a short little love Frankie parade. Also, their design, their clothing, their outfits, probably the best out of everybody. Like, I'm just saying, this is very biased. This is my bias. I love Frankie. I've loved Frankie for a very long time. They've, like, always been my favorite character, along with Abby, which, real quick side tangent, Abby doesn't look like she could crush me with her,
so now to begin
anymore,
the, official video
really
with
sad.
Hopefully better audio. I hope it sounds better at least.
But yeah, Frankie.
So I'm gonna start out with
my favorite.
the things that I liked and disliked. Try to be as unbiased as possible.
Okay,
this is
amazing.
Me not taking in, the bias I have,
and they're just super fun.
Having watched the original series. This is just my reactions to the movie itself, that kind of thing.
Give Frankie.
I would also like to give a shout out to
because
I think
they're just absolutely my favorite.
I can't remember their
so
Twitch
cool.
name, but I'm going to put it in the description because they actually rated me during the Twitch stream when I was recording the
actual
recording the visuals for this, which you probably see on screen. So, I think it's Cedar the Barefoot, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I do have to thank them. Totally go check them out. Now on to what I'm actually going to be talking about. So, for starters, I'm going to talk about the things that I liked about the movie, without a bias. So, for starters, I love how campy it felt. It felt very nostalgic, like an early 2000s Disney movie. I guess this is Nickelodeon, but you know what I mean. It felt very nostalgic, very early 2000s. Like, it feels like I've just gotten home from school. It's raining out, so I can't go play outside. So instead, I'm going to go sit in the house, I turn on the TV, and this movie, it feels like it would be on. Now, it does also have all the bad of an early 2000s movie, but I'm going to get into that later. Now, another point I have, because I have this all, written out, is the background sets. Like, the sets, I'm not going to flash pictures on screen because I could not find pictures for the life of me, but the backgrounds are stunning. The school being alive is so cool. I love the backgrounds. They're all gorgeous. The detail is amazing. I love it. Honestly, the school being alive, so fun. I love alive houses and schools. I don't know, that trope, I am a sucker for it. I love that. It's very Monster High. I really, really like it. I love Frankie. I love everything about them. I like their design. I like their outfit. Honestly, I love the fact that they use they, them pronouns now because it just makes so much sense to me. It's a very, very Frankie thing. It honestly, yeah, it's just definitely something that makes a lot of sense to me. Now, another character that I liked, surprisingly enough, was actually Deuce. I've heard a lot of people say he's cringe, and honestly, yeah, he is. He feels like he's in an early 2000s movie. But I liked his character story of, hey, I wasn't a very good person, but I'm trying to be now. I really like that. I really like that storyline. I feel like it's very fitting and it's very fun, and I think they did it decently well. The songs, honestly, they're B tier, but they're still pretty decent. Like, there are some of them, they're pretty decent. Like, I did enjoy them. They weren't fantastic, but they were still very fun. Headless Headmistress Bloodgood, I kind of loved her. I don't really have any reasoning that I really liked her, but she was just very fun, very upbeat, and I don't know, she just felt kind of fitting. I really liked Monster High itself. It was very, I liked the school itself. It felt very fun. I liked the, like, portal thing hidden away from, the humans, because that makes so much more sense. Because, like, the original school, how was it being hidden? Like, it just seemed like it was up on a hill. Like, I don't know. I feel like that was a plot hole that I really enjoyed them kind of, like, making note of, like, and actually changing it. Honestly, I really liked that, and it was really fun. Yeah. So that's honestly the things I liked with, not counting my bias. I liked how campy it felt. It was kind of fun. It was really cringy. Or not really cringy, but it was kind of cringy. We have to be honest with ourselves. It was kind of cringy. But guess what? Early Monster High could be cringy too. We just have to be honest with ourselves. Early Monster High could be cringy at points. And I do like how, they did modernize things, and honestly just everything about Frankie, and, not really understanding social media, and, the everything about Frankie. I love everything about Frankie. They're my favorite. Can you tell? I hope you can. Otherwise you're, like, blind. So, yeah. Frankie, everything about them, fantastic. Now, unfortunately, we're moving on to the things that I didn't like, which is a much longer list, unfortunately. So, most of the character costuming was bad. It was bad. It wasn't great. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't like most of the character costuming. It felt kind of cheesy and kind of cheap. Deuce, Cleo, and Claudine, I feel like, get it the worst. I don't like the fact that Deuce is wearing a bunch of snake print. It feels kind of tacky and kind of weird. Claudine, I feel like hers is more, it just, like I said, it all looks really cheap. Cleo and Laguna probably got it the worst with their outfits. They're supposed to be really popular and pretty, right? That's the point of them, right? It just all felt kind of cheap. Like, I don't know, it just felt really weird. And the fact that Cleo's accents are blue, she's got blue with gold accents instead of gold with blue accents, it feels really weird and unnatural, and I don't like the shade of blue they used either. It's just, I couldn't get into it. It was just really strange. The choice was just, it didn't really make sense to me. Like, she's supposed to be royalty, so dress her like royalty. Do the golds, do the shiny. Make her look like a rich girl. Also, I didn't like the fact that they were like, well, I guess that's kind of a biased opinion, so I'll get into that during the biased section. So, I also didn't like the fact that the pimple curse thing, I mentioned this in my video about acne and normalizing it, but using acne/pimples as a curse is just really weird to me, and I really don't like it as someone who has struggled with acne for a while. So, Claudine's introduction, the whole first scene where Claudine's at the skate park, I hate that whole scene because, I'm gonna be honest, if I was at the skate park and I saw that, I would literally just think that she was a furry. I would just think that she's a furry. Because, like, the ears don't look that real. If the ears looked more realistic and they, like, twitched and stuff, like, just something to make it look more realistic, honestly, if I had seen that at the park, I would have just been like, oh, okay, bestie, like, you do you, I guess. Like, honestly, people would not have chased her out of the skate park. They would have just been like, wow, she's kind of, like, that kind of thing. Like, I don't know, I feel like that there were other ways that you could have introduced it. Like, I don't know. There were other ways to have introduced her as a werewolf. And honestly, her whole werewolf thing in the movie was very strange because she's, half werewolf, half human. But it feels like, I'll get into that later. It's fine. The movie also felt really fast, and not in a good way. It felt the pacing was really weird. In some areas, it was super slow, and there was just no reason to pan it out that much. And then other parts of the movie were really quick and just uncomfortable. Kind of like, spoiler alert, by the way, like this is not a spoiler-free review. Kind of like when Komos was revealed as the villain, that was so fast. It was so fast. His rise and defeat was so quick, it felt like there was no actual threat. It was just, I didn't like that part. It was bad. It just wasn't great. I didn't enjoy that part. And it just, yeah, it didn't really sit right with me, you know. I don't really like how it was done. That's just a personal opinion though. That also kind of moves on to the villain was defeated way too quickly, and I don't understand why they had to have Komos reflect Deuce's power back onto himself to turn into stone. Like, Deuce literally could have just lifted his glasses and boom, the villain would have been defeated. And that just, I don't know. How quickly Cleo turned into becoming Claudine's friend. Like, sure, she saved her life, but I don't know. It just felt like they became buddy-buddy really, really quickly. That's moving on to more fast-paced things. Draculaura's whole personality was really strange because she was really mean and hostile in the beginning. And her switch from being super mean and hostile to being absolutely buddy-buddy besties with Claudine was just so quick that I just really couldn't. Their friendship just didn't feel all that believable because it was so quick of a transition. The whole witchcraft thing is kind of weird to me because it mentions that there's a fight between vampires and witches, but Headmistress Bloodgood mentions, the fact that she doesn't like witchcraft. So are we discriminating against an entire group of monsters? Like, huh? It's really weird. I also think the fact that in the movie they bring up the type of monster somebody is really often, like, oh, well, I'm a Gorgon. People don't really trust us. Like, why? There was never really this much, I don't know, monster racism in the series. Like, again, like, there was definitely the feud between werewolves and vampires. That was definitely a thing. But, it wasn't like people hating, but usually it was them and they were able to come together. But it was kind of, I don't know, it was just kind of weird the way that they did the Deuce. Deuce was a little bit strange in the way that the people not liking him because he's a Gorgon. I don't know, that was a little strange to me. But I feel like that might be like a personal thing. Also, I would also like to mention that, yeah, Deuce was a little bit of a weird character. I have very mixed emotions about him. I like him, but I also don't. He seems fine enough. I don't like the fact, and this is a biased opinion, I must admit, that his glasses are like not opaque, like that we can see his eyes through them. He doesn't give as much of like a not scary, but like slightly off-putting vibes. Like, his vibes are no longer that slightly off-putting. Like, you can't see, like, hiding his eyes was a really big thing because it just felt like he had that other layer of mystery to him that was really, really cool, and I don't know. I have very mixed emotions about, Deuce's whole design. In the show, I'm not a big fan of his design. It's too many clashing colors. I don't know, the greens they decided to use are just kind of uncomfortable together, and the patterns, I'm not a big fan of his, honestly, most of the guys' designs in the show, they don't look that great. But honestly, I feel like that's a video for another time because I would like to dive into the show on its own, but I haven't really gotten to watch it yet, but I'm going to, and I'm probably going to do a review because it's me. What else would you expect? So now I'm going to mention the villain, Komos. I really don't like Komos as a villain. It felt like a pretty bad twist villain. It felt very cheap, and I felt like it wasn't hinted at all that much. Like, it was with him hating humans and spending a lot of time talking about Hyde, but I feel like they could have drawn more comparisons between him and Hyde to, say that he's his son. Like, I wish somebody had mentioned, wow, you look kind of like him, and he had been like, yeah, I guess we do, like something like that. Just give a little tiny taste of a nod to make us like a little suspicious of the guy, make us a little suspicious of him, because honestly, I didn't really feel like there was any ominous vibe around him. He just kind of felt like that, like, cringy English teacher who was trying to be relatable. That's all he felt like, I don't know. He seems like he would be like, he kind of felt like a youth pastor, okay? He kind of like felt like one of those youth pastors at my old Girl Scout camp who tried to convince us to like start going to church. Like, I don't know, that's the best way I can describe him. I'm also kind of the whole Hyde thing felt really weird and very un-Monster High. Like, they kicked out this guy because of his human side. It just, honestly, Monster High feels way more, I don't know, human racist than they used to be. It just feels a little more over the top, because Monster High used to be afraid of normies humans because they were afraid that the humans were gonna kill them. That was the point. But now it feels like they hate humans because, I don't know, they want to be edgy? Like, I don't know. It feels like their hate for humans is very surface level now. Maybe this will change come the animated series, but I'm not exactly sure. Maybe this is an odd opinion, but, it is my opinion. So now I'm moving on to the part where I get a little bit biased, because guess what? I'm biased. So sue me. I also didn't like the lack of honestly, like the lack of development between like I said, the movie is very fast. So actually, you know what, give me one more second. So I didn't like how fast Claudine goes from, I'm gonna leave the school, to coming back to the school. It wasn't even 3 minutes. It was so weirdly quick. Like, there was no convincing needing to be done to come back to the school. It was really weird, and honestly, I don't know. It was just kind of strange to me. So now moving on to things I like despite my bias. Everything about Frankie. I like every single thing about Frankie. Everything that was changed, I really don't mind. Surprisingly enough, I don't hate Laguna. Are there some choices that I find a little weird, like making her pink? Yeah, I find making her pink really, really weird. I think they could have, still had her be, she's Latina, I know that much. They could have still made her blue. I like her new hair colors, actually. I think it's actually kind of fun, but I just kind of wish they had kept her just entirely blue. I feel like the pink is just kind of weird. And supposedly she has a nymph mother, and if I remember correctly, nymphs are blue. Actually, give me a second. I think nymphs are blue. So, yeah, nymphs are kind of like a pale whitish blue color. So, from the pictures I'm looking at right now. So, honestly, I don't really get her being pink. And a shiny pink, too. I don't really get that, but I do still kind of enjoy her. Although I wish she was still on swim team, because I think she just does, like, skateboarding now. Like, as someone who's on swim team, I need some swim team representation. Honestly, I also miss the, like, animal rights activist part of her that was in the original that I feel like the reboots kind of just forget about, which is kind of disappointing. So now there are things that I dislike, probably because of my bias. Number 1, why did they give Abby and Claudine glasses? And I noticed that it's the characters that... So Abby and Claudine are 2 characters that in the original were very tough, very self-independent. And, they still can be those things with glasses, but I just don't understand why they gave them both glasses. Like, that didn't make sense to me. Abby's new design definitely isn't my favorite. It feels like they really, like, half did her design. Like, it's weird. I don't really like the bun thing they did. And what's with, like, the generic snowflake number 7 that's printed out on her shirt? I don't understand. I feel like they could have done much more with Abby's design, and I don't understand why now she's, like, some, like, social media influencer from some of the scenes that we see of her. It's, like, her taking pictures with a frappuccino. I don't know. I I don't understand that part. Maybe they're going to do more development in the actual series, but for now, her design isn't that great. I don't really like it because, come on, Abby's supposed to be a character who could crush me with her thumb. And she just doesn't seem like it anymore, which is really disappointing. Like, let us have our really physically strong female characters. Like, we need more of those, you know? Now, another thing that really bugs me is the personality changes are really weird. Like, Draculaura is a lot meaner than she used to be. It doesn't seem like she's a vegetarian anymore, which I don't really get. I just genuinely don't understand Draculaura not being vegetarian anymore and her being kind of meanish now. Claudine's also much more shy and timid than she used to be, which, I don't know, it's fine, I guess, but, you know, I really liked, you know, Claudine being, like, super cool and, like, you know, could tear me to shreds. Like, I think that's really cool. Frankie is the only, I love Frankie. I still love Frankie. Frankie's my favorite. Okay. Like, no, you couldn't tell by me drawing them, continuously talking about them. Yeah, Frankie's my favorite. Cleo has stayed mostly the same. Just, it feels like she feels more generic, if that makes any sense. Abby's personality hasn't really been shown much, but I don't know. I really hope they do her justice, because she, like I said, she was one of my absolute favorite characters in the original. Ghoulia, we didn't see much of her, but that actually moves on to my next thing. Why can Ghoulia talk now? Why do the zombies speak? Like, I don't know, it's kind of weird that, so Ghoulia used to be the very smart, intelligent, bright character, and, I actually had a friend, he was deaf, but he thought the zombies, and especially Ghoulia, was really cool, because, hey, you know, they can't, you know, talk like me, and they can't talk kind of like me, but they're still super smart, and people like the character. And honestly, I loved that for him. But, you know, now they can talk, and I don't know, maybe it was to, like, maybe that was, like, something that people complained about. I'm not exactly sure, but all I know is that I wonder how, you know, my friend who, we have fallen out of touch, we don't really talk much anymore, but I really do wonder what his reaction to this new generation is with, you know, the zombies being able to talk and everything. I don't know, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it is a little bit weird. Another thing that I found weird, Claudine and Deuce. That is so weird to me, because I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, Garrett Sanders confirmed that Claudine is a lesbian. Or that at least she was, like, kind of coded to be. And I remember that most people thought that she was, and I'm totally for that. So I don't really understand the Claudine x Deuce thing. It's nothing like straight washing your main characters. I don't know. Maybe they weren't, because, you know, Claudine is never, like, actively shown as, like, a lesbian in the original, but I don't know. Pairing her with Deuce just seems really weird. Like, that just seems like a really weird relationship, because Cleo and Deuce were the absolute OG ship. Like, they were so great. I loved them. Like, also, Deuce's snakes being, like, evil and menacing now is weird to me, because, like, his snakes used to give Cleo forehead kisses, and that was so cute. Like, I don't know. I love that. It's so cute. It's so cute. Like, I love that. That's so adorable. But I don't know. Him and Claudine just feels like a really weird, like, crack ship, you know? Like, it feels like they went on, like, the creators went on Tumblr and were like, okay, let's look up the ships, and somebody found, like, a Claudine x Deuce, like, post, and they were like, hey, I really like this, and so they used it in the movie. Like, I don't know. That's kind of what it feels like. The whole half werewolf thing is also kind of weird to me, because, like, aren't werewolves already half human? Like, huh? I don't know. It's kind of weird to me. But I think that's more of, like, a personal thing for me, but I'm not exactly sure. So I think this is probably going to be the last thing I mention, but Lord only knows. It's me. I could probably end up rambling. There's no more Jackson, Jekyll, and Halt Hyde because of the stupid Komos Hyde thing. Unless they decide to bring him back in another way, and it turns out that Komos was, like, a twin or, like, the older brother. I don't know. But, like, oh my god. Jackson was like my favorite character, like my favorite guy character. I thought he was just the absolute coolest because it's just like, oh wow, he's got like this alternate personality. And now that I've read, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I like his character even more. Also, it took me a way too long of a time to figure out that Jackson, Jekyll, Holt, Hyde. Like, it took me forever to figure that out. But he was a really cool character because he was kind of this mix in between, being connected to Holt while also not being connected to Holt. And it was a very interesting storyline. And he was a very interesting character. But now that's just been kind of taken away, and it's just kind of weird. I don't know. I don't like that, Jackson and Holt, like, don't exist anymore because they were really fun characters. Very interesting. And it was so interesting with Jackson being kind of like human passing, if that makes any sense, which could be a very, very interesting storyline that they could have used if only not for Komos. Also, Komos didn't look like this is coming back to like the costuming thing. Everybody looked like they just went to Party City. I don't know, like, it just feels like everybody went to, like, Party City, and that was the extent of, like, their shopping trip. I don't know, but I think that's, like, a personal thing. So, yeah, the movie wasn't that bad. I will admit, the movie wasn't that bad on its own. I think it's definitely a movie that people, like, I definitely think that the younger generation, they're going to grow up with this Monster High, and it's going to be their Monster High. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun movie that they enjoy, and that makes me very, very happy. And I'm glad that, they can experience that kind of thing. But, it is very different from our Monster High. It's more inclusive, which is nice, in some ways. But at the same time, there have been some changes that aren't that fantastic. But I am actually quite excited to see where this new generation goes. The dolls aren't my favorite, but I do think that there are a couple that I'm gonna like. I'm very excited to see what they do. I'm probably gonna watch the show to try and do a review about that. And yeah, I think that's all I really have to say. I'm sure there's more that I'm probably gonna remember by the time I end this recording, but I think that's what I've got to say. I want to finish this off by saying I love Frankie. I love the fact that they're non-binary now. And honestly, I totally see them as pan because, like, come on. They're just like, well, how can I choose one gender to like? That seems stupid. Like, no. And honestly, I don't know. I kind of love that. Also, I hope they keep Deuce's rat named Perseus because that's just so funny to me. That's literally the funniest thing to me. Like, I learned that Deuce, the son of Medusa, having a rat named Perseus, that's so funny to me. Like, that is the peak of comedy to me. But that's mainly because I really like Greek mythology. I also like how, the old series, they very much so paid attention to Greek mythology, with some of the stuff that they did. And I don't know, that was just really fun to me. It was really interesting. And I hope that they continue doing that with this series. And honestly, I'm excited to see what they come up with. I'm excited for this new series. My hopes aren't that high, but they're high enough. And yeah, I want to see what they do next. Having said that, I hope you all have a fantastic day. And I really hope to see you in the next one. Like, subscribe, go follow my Twitch because I do a lot of drawing stuff there. And yeah, I hope you all have a good day, night. I hope you had a happy Halloween. If you don't celebrate don't celebrate happy Halloween. If you don't celebrate Halloween, I just hope you're generally having a good time. Having said that, I feel like I've said that a bajillion times. Thank you and good night. Bye-bye.